So guess what? I think I suffer from imposter syndrome. Now, I have not been clinically diagnosed with that. I just think I do just because just some kind of revelations that I've been going through, especially going through this building my business. And I wanted to talk about that today. So, what's up? My name is Kat, and I am the owner of Superior Medical Consulting, where we provide superior medical billing solutions for your private practice. I am a certified professional coder, a certified professional medical auditor, and a medical biller. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about imposter syndrome or how to gain confidence being a medical coder or a medical biller. So I looked up imposter syndrome because I'm like, I've been hearing this word thrown around a lot, and I thought imposter syndrome was like you just be impersonating somebody, you know, and you going around like taking on people identities, but that's not what it is at all. Imposter syndrome is I'm looking at the definition here, one of the definitions online, and it's saying it's a condition of feeling anxious and not experiencing success internally, despite being a high performer. It's often, people often feel like they're a fraud or they're phony and they're doubting their abilities. And I resonate with that so much, so much. It's so crazy because a lot of times when I talk to people, and it's been ever since I was young, and I don't want to like make this video to toot my own horn or to sound way more than what I am, but people are usually impressed by the way I think. And because to me, it's like, this is just how who I am. It's natural, it's normal. I don't think nothing of it. I don't think I'm like this super smart person, this super intelligent person. I live with this all my life, so I don't think of it as an extraordinary gift, I guess. But other people seem to do that. When I was coming up, I would always get accolades about, like how smart I am. I was always on an honor roll. I kind of like, I would always be picked. Like, say, for instance, if we had like debate panels, I will always be picked. Like, I want, Kat on my team because, like she knows she's gonna, whatever. The group project, you the smart one when you pretty much are the first person that gets picked for group projects all the time. Um, when your teacher, I don't know if this ever happened in your grammar school, but like say for instance your teacher had to go out and do something, I don't know, for the school or whatever, and you have that student teacher. I was always pretty much the student teacher, which put me in some effed up situations. Like people will always think, oh, she teacher's pet, and it wasn't nothing like that at all. Like I actually hated it. I'm shy by nature anyway, so I didn't want to like be involved in public speaking anyway as a kid. But I also didn't like to be on display either. I didn't like to showcase that I knew a lot of stuff outwardly to people. Like I would do well on tests, do well on school projects. I didn't care about the written work. But if you tried to get me to like talk to people and tell them my knowledge, I hated that. And so like it was a real struggle for me to start this YouTube channel, and it's a real struggle for me to this day, with talking to people and offering advice when they want to pick my brain about stuff that they know I know about. And the latest instance that this imposter syndrome showed up for me was when I was taking my CPMA exam. And for those of you that don't know, through AAPC, they offer you a certified professional medical auditing course, and you take the exam to obtain your auditing credential. And I have been working in the medical field for over 18 years now. I'm not the type of person that kind of streamline my job to say that this is what I get paid to do and this is what I'm going to do and I'm not doing nothing else. I'm always that person, like I need to know the process. I need to know why this department needs me. and I need to know why I need that department. So I need to know what that department does so that I can understand how it coincides with what I do. And I need that department to also understand what I do so they can know what my limitations and capabilities are so that we can work seamlessly together. So by me being that type of person that need to know from top to bottom how the process works, I've acquired a lot of knowledge about a lot of stuff. Some of it is useless, some of it is very helpful. So with the way that my career progressed, starting from medical claims adjusting, like I wasn't even billing when I first started. I was just an adjudicator for claims. When I started off adjudicating claims, and then I went into my biller role, and then when I went into my coder role, and now into my business owner role, like I could see the progression of my career, and I've acquired so much knowledge in all of those roles that it just helps to make me a well-rounded coder and biller and now auditor. And so when I set for the CPMA test, I took advantage. If you guys are familiar with AAPC, they have these free AAPC hashtag free AAPC like time frames, whereas they offer you, like a deal. Like if you want to get a new credential, all you gotta do is pay for the test, and then we'll give you the study guide for free. And you have so long to pay to study for this test and obtain your credential. Last year I took advantage of that. I said I wanted to get my medical auditing credential, and in the position that I held at the time, I was also a dermatology coder. So I wanted to learn more about dermatology coding. So I went and got my CPCD, which is a certified professional coder with the concentration in dermatology. So I paid for that test, and then I paid for my auditing test, and I concentrated on my CPCD because I, had a provider that was a dermatologist, and I needed to, effectively code for that provider. So that was my priority. So that led me to put my professional auditing, teachings aside. And so I kind of procrastinated on that because I focused more so on trying to sit for my CPCD exam. And I hope all these credentials aren't like too overwhelming. I hope you guys can follow me. If not, ask the questions below and I'll try to clarify it. But I studied for the exam and I passed that test. And then I was kind of like zoned out. Like I didn't want to like study for no more tests. Like I was studying when I get to it, blah, blah, blah. Needless to say, I put the professional auditing, even though that's to me would have been the most beneficial certification for my career and my business. It just wasn't my focus at the time. So I pushed that on the back burner. So I got an email for AAPC that says, like, girl, yo, voucher is expiring for your test. You need to be like, scheduling your test pretty soon or you go lose it. I didn't want to waste no money, so I was like, okay, let me just go ahead and schedule this test. Me scheduling the test kind of like did something to my psyche. It was like, girl, you should be studying for this test. You scheduled this test. You got to take this test. So every day I will be like, oh, okay, when I get done with all my work or whatever, I'm going to like put in an hour. I even made a schedule to myself. If I can't get in an hour at night before bed to study, I'm going to wake up extra early, to study for an hour. Needless to say, that did not happen. I did not do that at all. Like I tried and I would get sidetracked. I would let social media bombard me. I would think about a million things that I need to be doing for my business, my kids, my mom, whatever the situation was. I felt like I put everything, any excuse that came up, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that, then I'll come back and study. I'm gonna do that, then I'll come back and study. I didn't study. The day before my test, I was like, you know what? I need to study. Like my test is due. My test is coming up. I need to study. So I studied the night before. And when I wasn't confident because I felt like I needed more study time. I felt like they gave me a year to study. Girl, you needed that year. But I went in there and did it, aced the test. If you follow my other social medias, again, you know this journey. You know how I felt about the test. You know that I didn't feel real confident about it, but I ended up passing the test and I'm glad I did. But I say that to say while I was taking the test, I felt fairly confident that I knew a lot of the stuff on the test, and it's not because I studied the night before, which did help. But it was because I pretty much have been preparing for this test my whole career. Like, because I'm not a linear person, I don't like just do my job. I go in there and ask questions. I like to see all the moving parts and how everything works together. Developing all of that, it exposed me to compliance. It exposed me to auditing. As medical coders, we moving more towards the auditing world anyway. So we need to know these different websites, these different reasons to why we code things the way we code things. And if we're able to do some of these things that these providers are asking us to do when we send out these claims, we have to go do all this research. And so I obtained all of that stuff. And while I know I could sit down with an auditor and talk auditing, before I even got this credential, I didn't think that I knew as much as I did. But when I took that test and I passed, it kind of cemented to me that, girl, you be knowing your stuff. Like, you be knowing your stuff, and stop acting like you don't know the stuff. Stop acting like you haven't been in this field for 18 years. And even though on paper you're not an auditor, you probably been an auditor for the last, 6, 7 years, just because that's just how I roll. That's just how I learn. That's just how I process things. And so, yeah, so it's just like in this field, there's so many gray areas that we incur that it can kind of rock our world. It can kind of rock our confidence. Like, we don't know if we should be billing something this way because Blue Cross likes it this way, Aetna likes it this way, Cigna likes it this way. I don't know if I'm doing this right, and I can't remember if I'm supposed to add this modifier on this charge or if I'm supposed to take the modifier off of this charge. I don't know if I'm supposed to build this code with this code, and is this medically necessary for this CPT code? I don't know. Like, because it's so many gray areas, like, our confidence can get rocked in this world. And I'm here to tell you that if you know your stuff, you know your stuff. We do a lot of cheat sheets in this world. Like, we take our own notes, we learn from our own mistakes. This is a world of trial and error, unfortunately. But the thing about it is, once you tried it and you got that error and you fixed it and it was successful, you need to make sure you don't continue to make those same mistakes, because it costs you time and it costs your practice money. So you need to learn from your mistakes. And that's one of the things that I think prepared me for this test, and for me opening my own business, is learning from your mistakes, learning from your trials and your errors, like getting that knowledge together and centralizing it all in your brain so you can regurgitate it out. Because when you can find yourself explaining to someone what you do, explaining to your provider your processes, explaining to an insurance company why you feel that their denial was in error, you hear yourself, articulating these things in a professional, smart way that makes sense. You know your stuff, and you are well rounded and well versed in this area. So don't let imposter syndrome creep up on you and shake your confidence. Like, you've proven to yourself time and time again, with successful claim payments, with successfully getting your claims approved through the system, with successfully allowing the clearinghouse to scrub your claims and your claims are going through, with successfully talking to your provider, like giving them updates on how the billing guidelines, the coding guidelines, the payer guidelines, letting them know about changes, talking to your yourself, and talking to your whoever else is involved, nurses, compliance departments, your medical facility leaders, talking to them about why you can or cannot build or code stuff in a certain way, having the facts in your book and online, with transmissions from Medicaid, Medicare, CMS, whatever, to back up your claim. When you know your stuff and know that you're doing things correctly, that should build your confidence day by day, and letting someone know that you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, and they need to listen to you. A lot of times we don't get respected in our world because, whoever providers think that they know more than what we do, but providers respectfully are there to provide a care for their patients no matter what. They need to do what's in the best interest of their patients, whether that means something is looked at by the payer as medically necessary or not. That may be something totally different. A provider can order so many tests because they're trying to rule out stuff, or and trying to see what's going on with the patient's conditions. They're trying to assess the patient, but the insurance company thinks a different way. They think that the that wasn't necessary because that patient had a stomach ache. You didn't have to do that test. You didn't have to do this. You didn't have to do that. And so it's going to be your job to kind of try to get both of them to see eye to eye. And those two worlds don't always agree on things, but you as the professional biller, the professional coder, should know the guidelines and the nuances and the ins and outs to get a payer and a provider to kind of be on the same accord, to understand each other and to get it done. To get the end result is to get the revenue in the practice. So you are the professional that knows that, and you know what it takes to get that. So don't allow the shakiness or the gray areas in our profession to rock your confidence, and don't allow what you don't think you know to show up in your life as imposter syndrome, and to make you feel like that you're not worthy of the success that you put in the work for all these years. You put in the work. You deserve that success. You deserve to know that you know what you know, that you know that you know what you know. And like, and to show up like that, to show up as the expert that you are, because you are the expert in this field. So I'm ranting right now, so I'm going to stop and leave it there. But I know I can relate so wholeheartedly with imposter syndrome and having your confidence shook. It's not even funny. But at the end of the day, I do know that I'm a professional. I have the credentials behind my name to show that I studied for this stuff. I've worked in this area for all these years. So I know what I know, and I need to work on that. And I was just shocked when I just was like, dang, like, how do I always feel like I'm not worthy enough? Like, I'm not smart enough when everybody else sees it except for me. That's so weird to me. But anyway, thank you for watching. Check out some of my other videos. I'm just gonna post a random video here because I don't know. I have a video about motivation. Maybe that'll be right here. I have a video about procrastination that may be right here, or I have a video about just starting your medical business in general. That might be right here. I don't know. If you watched all the way to this point, thank you very much. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I would try my best to answer those questions or get you to the resources that can do so. And until the next video, you take care. And I'm very proud of you for starting your medical billing business. And I will see you in the next video.